My brothers, my sisters, my beloved constituents, good night to everyone. May I first of all thank some people who have made this meeting possible tonight. I thank the Royal St. Lucia Police Force for the arrangements. And I know that I will cause some irritation tonight because our main thoroughfare, main highway into Vieux is blocked. I ask for the understanding and forgiveness of our motorists, but I thank the police for the arrangements. I want to thank Jericho for providing me with a sound tonight, with the clarity and the force that I need on an occasion like this. I thank him immeasurably. I thank too the members of the executive of the Vieux South constituency group for being on this platform, for accompanying me tonight. I am grateful to you as well. And I am thankful too for those who have journeyed from other constituencies to be here tonight. No matter how hard I try to discourage you, but I thank you for being here. And to those of us who are online in the diaspora, who have accessed the link we have provided tonight, I thank you too for sharing tonight with me. My beloved constituents, this is an unusual meeting. I am the sole speaker. I wanted it that way. This is so because the matter I wish to share with you concerns you and me, no one else. As I said, I am aware that many people here have journeyed from other constituencies to hear me tonight. I welcome and appreciate their presence. I thank too our party, the St. Lucia Labour Party, for understanding the peculiarity and the unusual nature of this meeting. I ask that I be alone with my constituents and that they do not share this platform with me. They have understood, and I appreciate it. This meeting was not summoned to discuss the proposed projects for our constituency announced by the Prime Minister in his recent budget address. This meeting was not called to respond to Lady Lee and her pronouncements about me or her plans for the constituency. That, I promise you, will come later. This meeting is about the opportunity you gave to me to serve you and our country over the past 28 years, and the future representation of our constituency. I have had no greater honor in my life than to serve you, the St. Lucia Labour Party, and the people of St. Lucia. Without your support, I could not have been the Prime Minister of our country for 3 terms and also shape its future development. Throughout my career, these many years, I have hardly ever spoken about myself. I do not even think that you know what my academic credentials are or whatever other accomplishments I may have had. I hardly speak about these things. But I will do so tonight in a very limited way for a very special reason. Next to politics, the greatest achievements I've had were in academia. Few would know that I am probably one of the few, if not the only person, who has graduated from the University of the West Indies with 2 first-class honors degrees, one in politics and history, and the other in law. When I did my PhD at the University of Birmingham in the United Kingdom, I was awarded a PhD without an oral examination, almost unheard of in universities, because my examiners thought my thesis was excellent. The quality they reasoned spoke for itself. It was convincing, well-researched, and if there was blemish, it was insignificant. I value these academic judgments next to my sojourn in politics. And for me, I will always retain the title by which you know me, Doc, as you always say, because it will always be that celebration of my academic achievements, not a celebration of the politics which I shared with you over the years. This has been a long journey. In another 2 days, on May 23rd, 2025, to be exact, I will have spent some 28 years representing you. This has been a long, memorable journey. Of course, there are others who are older than I am and who have spent more time in political life than I have. Ralph Gonsalves is one such person. Ralph, who is the current Prime Minister of St. Vincent the Grenadines, is probably 77 or 78 years old. I can't vouch for it, for his age. Keith Rowley of Trinidad and Tobago is another. He recently retired from active politics. He was reputed to be 77 years old. And then, of course, Sir John was another. I am sure you will recall his comeback in 2006 at the age of 82 years. I am now 74 years old. On January 8th, 2026, I will be 75 years old. at 75, and even before, even right now, I will be in the departure lounge preparing and awaiting my call. In this journey, I have been the beneficiary of your respect, love, affection, and your loyalty. I have made many beautiful and enduring friendships. I have also, sad to say, lost some friends. Sometimes because of misunderstandings. Sometimes because I was unable to deliver what was demanded of me. But I have no rancor, no malice, no hatred. I am grateful for all you have given me. In this journey, you stayed with me even when I was most vulnerable, when I was at my lowest ebb, when the people of St. Lucia, by a majority, turned their backs on me and the governments which I led. You never failed me. You stood with me. You gave me an armchair of comfort. You hugged me. I thank you. I could never, ever have asked for more. I am grateful, deeply grateful, for all you have given me. And so, to illustrate, I just want us to go back in time a little bit and consider the electoral results for this constituency over the years. In 1997, I won by a majority of 965. The voter turnout was 70.2% of eligible voters. The UWP candidate at the time was the famous or infamous Peter Josie. In 2001, the majority was 1,308, but the turnout declined to 52.91%. The then UWP candidate was Hilary Saltibus. In 2006, the year Sir John returned, the majority slid 624. The turnout climbed to 62.27%. And the UWP candidate was Dr. Ulrich Mondesi. Then in 2011, after my stint in opposition, the majority climbed, almost doubling to 1,241. The turnout, however, was 56.44, and the then UWP candidate was Carl Daniel. In 2016, when I faced the greatest challenge, when there was a major swing against the St. Lucia Labour Party, I won by 338 votes. the turnout was 53.45%. The candidate, the UWP candidate, was Ulrich Mondesi. And that was his best showing. Many of you will remember that night, the celebration that occurred. And many of you will remember the pronouncements on certain talk shows that had barely won the seat by 25 or 27 votes, sometimes 52 votes. But the record speaks. It was the first time that we had lost the boxes at Larissus, Dermont, and Do Camel. We lost case 3 by 6 votes. In 2021, and before I get there, we also lost K4 by 18 votes. K4 at the time comprised Cantonment, Cedar Heights, and Black Bay. Then 2021, the last election. I won the constituency by 1,563 votes. Amazingly, the greatest majority ever in my years of representation in Vieux South. The turnout then was 46.58%. The UWP candidate was Hermangild Francis. It was a sweet, resounding victory. We reclaimed K3 by 244 votes. We reclaimed K4 by 192 votes. When I go over these statistics, I believe that I have been a blessed politician. And I told you this is a personal journey with you. That is why I'm not here to defend the Labour Party tonight. Neither am I here to excoriate Lady Lee. That will come later. I want to share with you those personal feelings and what they have meant to me and why you have been so important throughout all my life, those 28 years that we have shared together. I believe I have achieved some things that no other politician has achieved or can lay claim to. In the journey that I just described, I fought elections against 5 UWP candidates. 3 of those UWP candidates became my good friends and subsequently openly supported me, including Dr. Ulrich Mondesi, who came closest to winning this seat for the United Workers' Party. And those 3 I refer to: Hilary Saldebus, Carl Daniel, and as you have just heard a moment ago, Ulrich Mondesi. Let this be a lesson to others. There is room in politics for civility and respect. And those of you who campaigned with me in those years will remember I never denigrated Hilary Saltibus. I never denigrated Carl Daniel. And no matter what the challenge and how formidable the challenge was from Ulrich Mondesi, I never attacked or abused him. And I hope this lesson that there is room in politics for civility and respect is learned. Because if we have done anything in Vieux South, is to say that over these 28 years, we have handled our politics differently, with class, with civility, with decorum, with respect, with understanding. And all I can do tonight is to say that I hope that Lady Lee hears me and that she gets the message very clearly tonight. No doubt, as well, the majority which I had in the last election was not only due to the national swing against Alan Chastain's UWP, but also to the many UWPs in this constituency who reasoned that the time had come to trust me with their vote. I believe that in 2021, UWPs in this constituency voted for me in numbers that they had never ever done before since 1997. I recognize them. I thank them immeasurably. And I know that the reason why they voted for me is not just because they disapproved of what Alan Chastaing and his cohorts had done to this constituency and to the people of St. Lucia. I know it is because they felt that they could have trusted me. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. It is true that there are UWPs who hate and detest me. That is normal. That is understandable. It happens to all of us. But deep in their hearts, they know that I have tried to be a fair and just politician. When it has been possible to do so, I have helped all who have approached me, all who have come my way, all who have sought my help, even to my personal detriment. I have watched those whom I have helped come election time celebrate, laugh at me, and cast remarks. But I have never forsaken them, because for me, they will always be the children of our constituency. But I have to tell you that I've had special respect, love and admiration for the elderly in our midst, for the elderly in our constituency. They have remained incredibly loyal to me. They pray for me. They worry about my health and remain grateful for the smallest gestures to them. I have lost so many these past few years, so many of them. But I know that their support for me has mystified many. You see, when I became the candidate in 1997, many of those persons would have been relatively young. Those who lived in the Mang, Bruceville and the back of there, would have known what it was like to walk through mud to church with 2 pairs of shoes. One to walk through the mud and the other pair to enter the church. They also remember how the administrations which I led impacted their lives, made a difference to them. They would remember the elderly care program, which continues to this day under a new name. They call them caregivers. They will remember the housing program, first initiated by a Labour government that I led. They will remember the program to provide free hypertension and diabetes medications to them. They knew what it was like to live without infrastructure, water, and electricity, and finally to receive those simple and necessary utilities. Of course, it is different with the young people among us. The young people, though influenced by their parents and family, do not think of the past. Because you see, they were not witnesses to the past. They are inheritors. They have no interest in yesterday. They only think of now and tomorrow. All of that is understandable. And that too has a message for all of us who enter competitive politics in our country. Some say I have done nothing for Vieux South. But I notice that these days they have adjusted their messages. They now say that I did do something, but could have done more. As I said to you earlier, I will not respond to them tonight because I don't want to spoil this occasion. Suffice it to say that if I have done nothing for Vieux South, how come I have defeated the United Workers' Party on 6 separate occasions? How come? What is the mystery? Why? What it is about my politics that earned the loyalty of the majority of Vieuxians over these years? There is no mystery. My politics has always been about making a difference in the quality of life of those whom I represent. You see, they will not learn that representation is not just about monuments, buildings, or even roads. It's about people, caring for them, being compassionate, merciful, respectful, and committed. And that is why, for 28 years, whenever I was in this island, whenever I was not ill, whenever I did not have a major emergency, I traveled up and down to be with you on every Wednesday, either to be in my office, to hear your words, to hear your pain, to hear your difficulties, to hear your challenges. That is what commitment means. And even to this day, I maintain the regime of being in there for on a Wednesday, one Wednesday in my office, next Wednesday going around the constituency looking at small projects which you have requested. And it is this passion, this concept of putting people first at all times, in all endeavors, that was at the heart of the policies of the government which I led. And tonight, I will not go down memory lane and list all the policies. I will cite a few just to remind you. It's a government that I led which created the Poverty Reduction Fund to invest in communities' infrastructure. It is the government which I led that created Proud to allow our citizens to own the land on which they occupied. Go to Diamond, go to Larry Shoes, go to Docamel. The people now own the land. And I'm praying that this government completes what I started and make sure that the people have controlment to own the land which they occupy. And also that this government does not betray the people of Bruceville and make sure that the people of Bruceville finally get ownership of the land that they have occupied in Bruceville, land which has been surveyed in a preliminary way. It was a government which I led through the then Ministry of Education led by Mario Michel that brought universal secondary school education and made sure that every St. Lucian child got a place in a secondary school in this country. Never again did we have a shift system. As a matter of fact, we made a major error at the time. No one had foreseen the decline of the birth rate in St. Lucia as rapidly and as quickly as it occurred, so that today we have more school places than we have children to be accommodated. What a revolution. Never mind the mistake of the planners of our time, but no child in this country can ever again be denied a place in a secondary school. And you'll remember that it was a government that I led which was a pioneer that provided every child in Form 4 of a secondary school with a laptop. You remember then I said that the face of education was changing. That teachers of today will not be the teachers of tomorrow. And we have to be prepared. When I urged that investment, I did not know that AI would dominate our lives the way it is now dominating our lives. And I fear, like you, that the teachers that we know today may well become obsolete as AI takes over the task of educating our children. What drama, what changes will occur? I will not be around. I will be long gone. But then I will ask you to remember me in memory. And perhaps then you remember tonight and what I said to you. You were the poor, the destitute, the forlorn, the forgotten. No one ever cared about you until the St. Lucia Labour Party was elected to office. Yes. You remember well. You remember well the little gestures. The government that I led made sure that the family of every child admitted to a secondary school in this country got a little token amount of $500 to help them with their school expenses. I said a while ago, we pioneered housing repair program for the elderly, the forlorn, the distressed, the poor, the vulnerable. I told you about the introduction of the program of free medication for persons suffering with diabetes and hypertension as we started to pave the way for universal health care. And you know, this remains to me such a major policy plank that never a day passes when I hope and pray that this Labour government will move far more quickly in introducing universal health care so that once and for all, we will not allow St. Lucians to be embarrassed and beg other countries to provide them with health care. We must bring an end to the humiliation and embarrassment of our people as they go up and down to other countries to ask them to sponsor them, to pay for them, and to give them health care that they cannot get in their own country. I told you tonight is not a night to speak about my legacy. That's a different address altogether. Because these days, they're all over television. They're asking all kind of Tom, Dick, and Harry about the legacy of Kenny Anthony. What is the legacy of Kenny Anthony? Yes. And I remind you that we are the ones who ensure the design and commencement of the OKEU hospital that exists today. And of course, too, many of you will remember that it was the Labour government led by me that introduced steps to provide a modicum of income to the poor and to the marginalized. And you remember, every time the United Workers' Party came into office, STEP was their first target. STEP was the first program that they abolished. And I have tried repeatedly to explain to them that we inherited a country in which significant numbers of our people never had the opportunity for a secondary education, never had the opportunity to learn a skill, that many of them could not have afforded secondary education. And we had a responsibility to ensure that there was fairness in this society, that there was peace, there was tranquility, and we needed to make sure that everyone, despite their status in life, had an opportunity to benefit from the policies of the government of the day, so that we can have social peace, participation, and our people would be able to join and participate in this economy. I even forgot. It was a government that I led that gave our young people modern sporting infrastructure. Like you, I lament what has happened to what is now St. Jude Hospital. I pray that the hospital under construction will be completed soon. And I can only hope that the sporting community will be given the George Odlum Stadium once again, and that is done quickly. And I honor, respect, and applaud the fact that this Labour government under Philip J. Pierre is continuing most of the programs initiated by the administrations which I led over 3 terms. And it is great credit to him that he is also adding to the programs which have been inherited. I know that there have been occasions when I have disappointed some of you. Still, despite your disappointments, you have believed in me, trusted me, because you know who I am. I know you were disappointed when I chose not to join the cabinet after the last general election. And I owe you an explanation, because we have not spoken about it. I will give you that explanation. And I hope after you have heard my explanation, you will understand that there are still politicians in this country who can think about the country as a whole, who can think about St. Lucia, and who could put aside their own emotional wants and desires, and who can put their country first. Some of you believe that the only way for a constituency to benefit is for its parliamentary representative to be in the cabinet, to have a seat at the table. And you are not wrong, because sometimes our cabinets do not understand that all constituencies matter in equal measure. Some may have wants greater than others. And precisely because there is something called equity, there must be absolute fairness in the treatment of all constituencies. And it is not because a particular representative sits at a cabinet, around a cabinet table, that the cabinet should be used as a mechanism to divert all resources, or the bulk of resources, to the constituency represented by that individual. But I said to you that this thinking is myopic, it is simplistic, and it is archaic. As I have always said, what happens when the membership of the House of Assembly is increased from 17 to 21 or to 25 or maybe 30 members, do we make every parliamentarian a minister or parliamentary secretary? Just look at the United Kingdom. The Parliament of the United Kingdom has a membership of over 650 elected members. But they have a cabinet of some 30 to 40 members. Obviously, all of them cannot be a minister. That would be an absurd proposition. And we have to mature in our politics. We have to develop our country by creating the right precedents, the right conventions. No matter how disappointing you may be with politicians, you must never ever give up on what is right, what is proper, and what is in the interest of this country. Never do that. But more pointedly, I believe it would have been an unfair burden to our country to have had two former prime ministers in the cabinet along with its current prime minister. And the two former prime ministers would have been Stephen King, myself, and the current prime minister, Philip J. Pierre. Why should we burden a country with that kind of membership simply because we were former prime ministers? As I said to you, I have always believed that I have an overriding responsibility to the St. Lucia Labour Party to encourage it to transition itself into the future. You know, I remember the night of the election in 2016. I was alone with two close friends. And when we lost that election, I felt a distress that I'd never experienced before. I knew what would have happened to this country based on what I'd heard on the platforms of the United Workers' Party. I knew then and there that I had to resign and announce my resignation as leader of the St. Lucia Labour Party. There are those who criticized me within my own party, who said I abandoned the St. Lucia Labour Party, forgetting that these are normal precedents that occur on election night. But there's something else. They forgot that the St. Lucia Labour Party that I had led between 1997 and 2016 had reformed itself, had become so entrenched that I had made this Labour Party into a formidable political organization, into an unmatched political organization, and further, that it was strong, resilient enough to cope with my resignation because there was a mechanism created inside the party to allow someone else to manage the transition that would flow from my resignation. I say this tonight because I want those who have criticized me for my decision that night to get this answer from me tonight. Because I know who you are. And I do not offer it with malice. I offer it because when I entered politics in 1997, one of the most famous statements that I made about the St. Lucia Labour Party was that it was the mother of all political parties in this country. That all political parties coming after the Labour Party fed from the breast of the St. Lucia Labour Party. All of them, including John Compton's in Adam, including John Compton's United Workers' Party, including even the PPP, all of them fed from the breast of the St. Lucia Labour Party. And what was inherited following 1997 was a political organization that was so strong that had changed and altered the politics of this country. And the reality is that fast forward to 2016, 17, 2021, the best way that I could have helped the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party was to allow Prime Minister Philippe J. Pierre to govern in his image, in his style, on his own terms, freely and unhindered by my presence. It would have been unfair for Philippe J. Pierre to have walked on eggshells just because I was around him casting my shadow. In short, I have never ever wanted to cast my shadow over the government of the St. Lucia Labour Party. I said earlier, I also have a responsibility to our country. Sometimes we have to set an example to say to the country that there is an alternative way to do things. And there are moments in Parliament when I have had to subtly say this to my colleagues and to my fellow parliamentarians. What I can tell you tonight is that I hope that my experience has been helpful and that all political parties, no matter their color and their hue, learn to handle their backbenchers far more constructively and respectfully than has been the case. There will be backbenchers in the future. But this speech tonight is not about my legacy. You see, my legacy is about you and it is about the country. How did I make a difference to this country since 1997? I just heard a cell phone, just heard it ringing. And I remember it was a government that I led that had the courage to terminate the license of cable and wireless, to pave the way for deregulation, so that today every solution walks in this country sometimes with 2 cell phones. That's what legacy is about. How did you change a country? Tonight is not a farewell speech. That will come much later. Because when my farewell speech comes, it will be a speech of adulation and respect for you. Because what I ascribe to you tonight is not enough to thank you. Tonight is a night to tell you that I have arrived at a delicate juncture in my life. I have no regrets having made the decision to represent you these past years. It has had its pain, frustrations, and disappointments, but so too, it has had its moments of joy and glory. The truth is, if I had another opportunity, I would do it all over again. You see, I have always believed in you. I know what you have gone through. I know your pain. I know why you feel marginalized in this country. I know why you feel you're being treated unfairly. I know all of this. And it takes someone with unique qualities to understand all of those things. But it also takes a political party like the St. Lucia Labour Party to understand those things. The United Workers' Party can never ever understand you because their agenda can never ever speak to you, to your wants, to your needs, to your desires, to your hope, to your dreams. That can never happen. But there comes a time when realism speaks. I've always vowed to myself that if the Lord allows it, and I live to 75 years, it would be a defining moment, a defining age. As I said to you earlier, I want to repeat myself, because sometimes it is only by repeating yourself that the message can become clear and the message can be understood. I am grateful for those years. I give thanks to you, I give thanks to the Almighty. I also give you thanks and praise for the way you have cared for me and protected me all of these years. Once you are in your 70s and even before, it is inevitable that ill health becomes a reality. True, I look youthful, energetic, and possibly still very handsome. But the energy that I once knew has dissipated. The enthusiasm I once had has diminished. My passion too has lost its intensity. Age can bring wisdom, conviction, understanding, but also it tempers you, slows you, and restrains you. Politics has also changed. Ideology, or what you believe, seems insignificant these days. Few persons are motivated by honor, integrity, and commitment. Very few believe in the promise of an idea. As you have often heard, politics has become transactional. It is now about what price can be exacted and be paid. So now, to vote, you do not see it as a duty, as a responsibility. Part you must be paid to vote. To get support, you must award a contract. And if you don't award the contract, then there is anger. There is disappointment. And you'll be told that don't expect the vote at the next election. It is the politics of a new generation. Some will believe that they can give you or offer you better representation than I have given to you these past years. I say, we shall see. As we always say, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. The truth is, you deserve even better than I will be able to offer to you in 2026 and beyond. And so now, I pause. I pause. Just for a moment to catch my breath. I want you to play for me the Rivers of Babylon. Just You wonder why I like that song? You wonder why? You wonder why? And just listen to that verse that speaks about the meditation of our hearts. That's what I want you to focus on. And so I have come to this delicate juncture of which I speak. I have therefore decided that I will no longer offer myself to be your candidate at the next general election. Some of you will be sad and disappointed. Some will gladly see my back. I'm also aware that some of you believe that it is time for Vieux South to be represented by a Vieux. Even though I respect those who openly profess such views, I do not accept their logic. But they too will get their wish. But I hope I will continue to be an example of a politician who demonstrated that place of birth and upbringing are not impediments, that what matters are commitment, dedication, truth, love, and respect. There are some anxious and awaiting this announcement, and I have no doubt that those who have offered themselves for the constituency will receive the clarity that they have sought these past few weeks. So far, 4 individuals have expressed the desire to succeed me as the next candidate of the St. Lucia Labour Party. They are well known to you. Augustus Cadet, Trisha Lionel, Danny Butcher, and Kentry Frederick. I believe you know all of these individuals. Much has been said these past few weeks, and I want you to listen to me very carefully at this juncture. If anyone says, if any of these candidates say that they have been endorsed by the party or even the Prime Minister, then I say to you, discount or dismiss such utterances. These are rumors, mere speculation and no more. The Philip J. Pierre that I know will never ever make the mistake of telling any of these candidates that he supports or endorses a particular one over others. So what is my advice to you as you go through these next few weeks? My advice to you is to observe the various candidates, familiarize yourselves with their history, personal and otherwise, hear their plans and proposals for the constituency, assess how they interact with you, how they express their commitment to the St. Lucia Labour Party, and how they will campaign to win your confidence and support. As I say to all who approach me, it is early days. And what I've said to you tonight is what I have said to all others who have approached me. I want to take the opportunity to tell you what the rules of the St. Lucia Labour Party are and how the process unfolds. The rules of the St. Lucia Labour Party are simple. The constituency executive is required to send out an invitation at the behest of the party to identify those persons who are interested in being candidates. This can be done even though you have a sitting parliamentarian, as happened in my case. Then at some point, on a signal given by the party, the constituency executive is required to interview the candidates, assess them, and rank them. In other words, the executive is to say who in their opinion is the number one candidate, who is number two, who is number three, and then number four. The names as ranked by the constituency executive are then forwarded to the selection committee of the Labour Party, who then conducts an interview of the candidates. The selection committee then recommends its candidate of choice to the political leader, in this instance Philip J. Pierre, and he will have the final say. Sometimes, if the selection committee is deeply split, it may decide to resort to other tools to determine who is the preferred candidate. I want to make it clear to you that I am not involved in these processes. As a matter of fact, apart from the candidates whom I see from time to time individually, I have never sat with them as a group. I have left that to the constituency executive. And I want to make it clear that I have no desire to be involved. In actual fact, while I respect my party's approach, my party's rules, I remain a great believer in runoffs to select candidates, provided that the process is well managed and rendered safe from corrupt practices. I'm not saying anything new here. I am on record. I have said so before, and I merely repeat my own article of faith. I have endorsed no one. I have met many of you who say you support a particular person. But you can never say that you have had a response from me. No one, none of you can ever say that I've asked you to support X or Y candidate. No matter what you think about me, what even the candidates think about me. But none of you can testify that I have asked you ever to support any particular candidate. The choice of a candidate is a decision that belongs to the St. Lucia Labour Party. It does not belong to me. It is not mine to make. I will not be selecting the candidate for Vieux South. I will not be selecting my successor. But Henny, what belongs to me is my right to express my views about the candidate of choice and to interact in the manner that I choose with the person selected to be the candidate. That is my right. That right I will guard jealously. I will not surrender that right to anyone. And so, my goodness, it's been an hour and a half we have been at it. You must want to go home. You must want to go home. I will close. No. I will close, my friends. I will close. And so, my friends, the curtains will be drawn soon. But there are some things, some articles of faith that I want to remind you of. And thank you, my friend. Thank you. There are some things I want to crystallize tonight that you have heard me say before, and maybe you have dismissed because you think, well, you know, politicians, they say all kinds of things. And you see, I'll tell you this, at my age, I don't crave anybody's understanding. I don't crave anybody's goodwill. I don't crave anybody's apologies. I don't want those things. Not at my age. All I want really is to ask you to remember who I am, what I am. First, tonight, I remind you that I seek no glory. I do not seek any glory from no one. I seek no honor from you, from the people of St. Lucia, or from my beloved St. Lucia Labour Party. All I seek from you, my constituents, is the memory of the love that we shared for each other. I seek no monuments. I want no buildings, no roads, no communities named after me. None. And those of you who do so, who have named roads and communities after me, you do so at your own peril because you are earning my displeasure, as I have asked that you do not do so. I seek no titles. None. None. I do not wish my name to be decorated. And the reason why I told you that my academic accomplishments are next in importance to my political accomplishments is simple. I want to proceed peacefully, carrying with me only the academic title by which you have known me all of these years. I want no more. I want nothing. It is enough that you trusted me to represent you. So, when I leave you, I simply want you to remember me as a good and decent human being who understood love, compassion, mercy, integrity, commitment, and humility. You remember in the years leading to the elections in 2006, when all they said was that I was arrogant, and they said that I was arrogant mainly because I could have seen through their foolishness, their untruths, that I could have seen through them, and I was unafraid to say what I saw. And this Labour Party is now learning what I had learned 10, 15 years ago. And really, sometimes I sit back and find it so remarkable that the experiences that I had shared in those years have now come to haunt the politics of our times. So I plead with you again. Let me dwell in your hearts, minds, and memories. I want nothing more. That is enough. I assure you that I will remain your representative until the day the general election is called and a new candidate is elected. I will be in my office every Wednesday or about in the constituency, as I have done for the past 28 years, administering to your needs. I will not surrender that responsibility. Rest assured that after I have made my exit, I will claim my right to speak freely, unhindered, and unchained. And no one will stand in my way as I express my views about my constituency or my country. I will also continue to defend, protect, and promote your interests with whatever strength that I have left. Finally, let me say this regarding the candidates. It is important that you do not feel that it is unfortunate that 4 persons can vie to be the candidate to replace me in this constituency. It is a good and healthy thing. It is good for the Labour Party. It is good for the democracy that we promote. But it is also important to remind every solution that no matter what their station in life, no matter their origin, no matter where they were brought up, that they too can aspire to be the Prime Minister of this country. That the Prime Ministership of this country does not belong to some, not to others. But the greatest power that someone from Bruceville, the Bakadeh, the Mang, Devon, Latuni, Cantonment, wherever they may be, Black Bay, is the opportunity that democracy provides them to become the Prime Minister if they choose that that is what they want. And I end on this note too. Some of you think that politics is the worst profession. I hear you. All politicians are the same. There are no differences among them. I'll give you a simple challenge tonight. Which politician in this country you know that can come on this platform and deliver the speech which I have just delivered? None. None. Whether on the Labour Party side or UWP, none. Why? Simply because they don't have the kind of experiences that I've had, I have shared, or the background that I have had. That's my point. Others can do the same. But there is honor, there is integrity in politics. It doesn't follow that once you choose to become a politician, that you become despicable, that you engage in the worst possible behavior, that you are corrupt, that you are evil, that you do not understand right from wrong. I said to you that there are people who can make a difference in politics. And no matter what they will say about my legacy, I know in my heart that I have made a difference in the politics of this country. All politicians are not the same. And so tonight, I ask that you weigh what I have said to you. I ask that you consider all I have said to you. And I ask that no matter what you have heard, that you do not change how you see me. You do not change how you handle me. You do not change how you think of me. I ask that you allow me to love and respect you as I have always done. So tonight, after this rather lengthy address to you, I beg you, I plead with you to go in peace and share the message and allow our song, The Rivers of Babylon, to dwell in your hearts as you make your way home. Thank you, all of you, for those who braved the night. God bless.
and one community and one love. Good night, everybody. Safe trip home as the story and the legacy of Dr. Kenny D. Anthony continues. Good night, everyone, and safe trip home. DJ, some music.